$1,400 stimulus check or $2,000 stimulus check in January or February? I have all the details and everything I'm watching for you very closely in this video. So let's get into it right now. But if you haven't done so, or if you're new here, make sure to hit the subscribe button right down below the video, as it's totally free to do so, and so you can join the #1 channel right here on YouTube dedicated to bringing you daily updates as it pertains to stimulus, the stimulus packages, stimulus checks, fixed income, low income, money, benefits, Social Security, SSDI, SSI, VA, RRB, and so much more that we're talking about every single day in all of these videos during a time that information is changing very, very rapidly. So again, thank you so much for joining me. Hit that subscribe button right down below, as it's totally free, and I'll be here for you every single day with all of these updates and everything you need to know going forward. All right, thank you so much. Let's get into this. And one quick side note, my wife Corey will be back in just a couple minutes here with the new updated list of shoutouts for this video, and those names are pulled right out of the fan club. So let's get into this right now, and stay tuned for that a little bit later. All right, so let's quickly talk about a $1,400 stimulus check or a $2,000 stimulus check in the months of January or February. As of right now, as I record this video, we are approaching almost halfway through the month of January already. It seems like it was just New Year's Day, and here we are almost halfway through the month already. Wow, going fast already, right? However, there's a number of different things that we need to continue watching right now, because there's a lot changing right now. The landscape is changing very, very rapidly, and I want to talk through many different things that I'm looking at right now, and we want to discuss a fourth stimulus check in the amount of $1,400, possibly $2,000 in possibly the second half of January, or maybe sometime in February. There's some key dates here I want to lay out for you, as well as everything else I'm looking at. So let's quickly talk through all of these details. Number one piece of data that we need to watch very closely is tomorrow, the new release of the CPI data, the Consumer Price Index. This is the measure of inflation for the month of December. It's going to be released tomorrow morning. So this is going to be a very key piece of data that we need to watch very closely to see what inflation was doing in the month of December. So this is just one key piece of data that we need to watch going forward, and this is going to be the latest reading for the month of December, and we'll get that information early tomorrow morning, and of course I'll let you know on that. However, the last piece of data, the last CPI number that was released in mid-December came in at 6.8%. That is very, very high. So we'll have to see if inflation continue to run just as hot, possibly even hotter through the month of December. It's going to be very important to watch that. Number two, we need to continue watching very closely the employment numbers. Now, why do we care about employment? Because employment numbers are usually the one indicator that determines when stimulus checks will come, how much they need to be, and how big they need to go. So a lot of it comes down to employment. If you ever listen to anybody in Congress, if you ever listen to the president, it's always talking about jobs, jobs, jobs. That's all they ever talk about, right? So the employment data is very, very important. We need to watch this very closely as well on an ongoing monthly and weekly basis, simply because the initial jobless claims numbers are coming out every single week and every single month, one time per month. We're also getting the non-farm payroll numbers, which is going to be a few more weeks until we get that number, but that's going to be a very key piece of data coming out, because here's why. Reason number one behind this is the big surge in COVID cases that we've been seeing lately. Most of these have been coming in the late portion of December and all throughout January now, the first week and a half or so of January so far. So this is actually the 11th. I'm recording this video on the 11th of January. So the vast majority of these massive COVID cases have been coming in pretty much like the last week or so of December, and then all throughout January. And literally, as I do my research, it is pretty much every single day new records are being made across many different states: Michigan, Illinois, New Jersey, Maryland, Virginia, California. There's a lot of different states out there that are seeing new record cases every single day. Just when you think that we're like at peaked out and we've hit everything, no, they continue to show even higher cases almost every single day across multiple different states. So this is something that we need to watch very closely, and how it all correlates to employment is we'll have to see. If these employment numbers start to tick up and say, oh, there's actually more people that are unemployed right now, that's not going to be a very good sign However, when it comes to employment, when it comes to stimulus, I guess if that's what you're looking at, then it could potentially be a good sign, because that's what they usually peg all of this inflation off of, is watching the unemployment rate very, very closely and how many people are entering the workforce or how many people are out of work right now, in conjunction with potential business restrictions, business closures. All of this is all playing into everything that I'm watching very closely right now, going forward through the second half of January, as well as right there into February. Let's quickly talk about a couple other things as well that are also happening. As you can see, there's a lot going on right now, right? So we also need to watch the COVID cases very, very closely, because as we know, these COVID cases continue to spread. Regardless of what your take is on this whole thing, again, I know it's a very controversial topic. I'm not going to go down that road. We don't need to, but we need to watch it very closely, because if we continue to see further business restrictions, business closures, flight cancellations, we start to see maybe some kind of other rules and restrictions imposed in different states, counties, locations, that's going to play an impact onto the economy as well. And again, we always have to watch the economy, because that is what they look at as a broad measure for, is stimulus needed? How much? How big do we need to go? And when does it need to be deployed? All of it plays into stimulus checks. Next, we need to look at, and again, we need to watch all this very closely. The last week, we got the introduction of these 2 new stimulus packages. Something else we got to watch very closely. Now, I'm not going to go into all the details on these, simply because we've covered them in previous videos. I don't need to go down that again. There hasn't been a whole lot of updates or new information coming out, so of course, I don't need to cover it all again. I've talked about it in great detail in previous videos. However, late last week, we did get the introduction of these 2 new packages, and we're waiting for further details on these. But this could be just one more indication that finally Congress and the administration is recognizing that additional stimulus is needed right now. We need more money to be deployed to help everything out with everything going on right now, with the further restrictions, businesses that are potentially struggling, Americans that are struggling right now, a lot of different things that are happening, and they're starting to recognize we need to send out more money, billions and billions of dollars. Who knows how big they're going to go? We don't have all those details quite yet. However, according to what I've been finding, the president should be addressing Congress here one of these days. I'm not really sure when. I have not seen a specific date as to when he'll be addressing Congress, but according to what I'm finding, he will be addressing Congress here very, very soon, asking them for additional stimulus for the next package. So, of course, I'll watch that very closely as well. Next, we need to watch February 18th and some remarks that were just made out of Nancy Pelosi. So, February 18th is also a very key date. This is the date in which the government is funded through. They need to once again pass another stopgap bill, otherwise known as a continuing resolution. This would continue to keep the government funded for some unknown amount of time. Sometimes they pass these for 30 days, sometimes they pass it for a little bit longer, sometimes they pass it for 7 days. But we'll need to continue watching this to see what they're going to do with the next continuing resolution that's going to be coming up on February 18th. The reason we need to watch that and how it translates into additional stimulus is because just the other day, Nancy Pelosi was out in an interview and said that they may be tying the next stimulus package to the continuing resolution. So, to get it all done passed as one big package all at the same time. That's another thing, key metric right there that we need to continue watching very closely. So, as you can see here, there's a lot going on right now, right? There's a lot of different changes that are happening, and any of these things could potentially be the straw that brings in additional stimulus, right? So that's why I've got to watch all of these different aspects very, very closely. But I think closely, the first thing that we need to watch here first is the CPI numbers that will be released tomorrow, and that'll give us a better idea of what is inflation doing. Now again, it doesn't really seem like Congress or the administration is all that concerned about inflation, considering it's been moving higher every single month, and it doesn't really seem like they're doing a whole lot. But it's still something we need to watch very closely, because if it's very, very high, they might say, well, the stimulus was the cause, the stimulus was the cause of all the inflation, and we don't need any more. Who knows what? Any remarks could be said. That's why we've got to watch all this very closely. However, as we continue to move forward over the coming days, over the coming weeks here, we're going to be getting a lot more information on these packages that were introduced last week. We're going to be seeing more, COVID data, whatever that happens to be, whether it continues to spread rapidly, whether it starts to tame down a little bit, whether there's potential restrictions coming in. Honestly, we don't know. It seems like nobody knows those answers right now. That's why we've got to watch it on a day-by-day basis, because nothing really being done about it, but yet it just continues to rage on. In fact, I saw just, yesterday? Over 1 million cases in one single day. So that's like the new trend now. 1 million a day. I don't know. Seems kind of weird. Like, I don't know, like nobody cares or something. I don't really know what the solution is, but it would seem like something would need to happen here at some point, right? Something's got to give, right? So that's why I've got to watch all this very closely. So when it comes to stimulus checks, how does all of this relate to everything that I've talked about? The CPI, the stimulus packages, the unemployment rate, the continuing resolution. How does all of this come in? Well, like I said, it all depends on the economic activity. How much does all of this have impact to the economy in a negative way? If it impacts the economy in a negative way, we've got to keep our eyes on this, because that's what they do to pump it back up, is to send out helicopter money, as in stimulus checks, give it out to the people, and basically tell us to go out and spend it in the real economy, and then that's what brings it back. So that's why we've got to watch all this closely and see what actually happens going forward. Now, as far as potential when stimulus checks could arrive, again, that's way too ambiguous right now. We have no clue when any of that could actually happen. We need to watch all of this other information to see what actually lays out, how quickly they want to distribute these stimulus packages, what they're going to include. We also continue watching the Build Back Better agenda. That's another thing that I didn't even talk about previously, but we've got to watch this as well, as Chuck Schumer has indicated he'll be bringing it here in the next couple weeks into the Senate and to open it up for debate on the floor in the Senate. So something else that has to be watched, because maybe they just say, hey, we've already got a package here that's pretty much done. We just need to add a stimulus check into it if they decide to do that, and then they can get it passed through. So as you can see here, there's a lot going on. Multiple stimulus packages at this point. We can say that we have 3 of them on the table. The Build Back Better agenda, which hasn't really been talked about a whole lot lately. We have the one that was introduced last week by the bipartisan group of senators. That's the $68 billion bill as of right now. And then, of course, we also have the one here where the president will be addressing Congress, asking them for additional stimulus here at some point. Again, we don't know when, but this is all the stimulus that we have on the table right now, in conjunction with everything else going on. And remember, it could be a standalone bill. That is always a thing that could be done if they just so happen to do that. So when it comes to stimulus in January or February, at this point, everything is up in the air right now. Anything could happen. Anything could change the trajectory of this whole thing. This whole COVID situation could get out of hand. Well, it's already out of hand, probably, depending on whose measure you talk about. But you could maybe say it's probably a little bit out of hand already, but that's one more thing that could be a catalyst for additional stimulus. So as you can see, there's a lot going on here. But either way, please don't worry. I'm right here for you every single day with all the latest updates, watching everything very closely. And as we get further information on any of this that I discussed in this video or anything else going forward, of course, I'll be right here with all those details every single day, as I am your one and only daily advocate, and I'm always the first one to bring you all this data. I'm watching all this stuff in real time every single day, and I lay it all out in these short videos so that you can stay tuned with everything going on, because regardless of what happens, it's all going to impact us to some degree, in some way, shape, or form. It's going to impact every single person in some way. So that's why we got to watch it. We have to watch it very closely. So hope you're having a nice day so far. Thank you so much. Make sure to subscribe down below. I'll watch it all for you, so you don't need to do the research. I do it all for you. Share this video with your friends, family, social media, and please feel free to go back and check out any of the other over 2,000 videos right here on the channel. And with that being said, Corey's going to come in right now and read that list of shoutouts for this video right here. And remember, that list of shoutouts is changing every single video. We update the list every Sunday, and then we bring back a little clip of about 6 or 7 names or so in every single video, and it's changing every single video, and the names are pulled right out of the fan club. So if you're in the fan club, your name will be getting a shoutout sometime this week, from the list that was updated on Sunday. If you want to check that out. Again, it is completely 100% optional. It is not required by any means at all. All the videos here on the channel are 100% free, always have been, and always will be. The fan club is just for those people who maybe want just a little bit more. There's a link down in the description. Otherwise, at the top of the comments section, there'll be a link there as well. So with that being said, Corey, take it away. Enjoy your day. Subscribe down below, and I will catch you again later in the next video.
Our shoutouts go to Wilfred Hackus, Rick Holst, Dan Bell, Judith Seibert, Lucia Diaz, and Cindy. Thank you for being in the fan club.